Right, can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes, I'm not sure everybody can actually. Just bear with me a second.
Yes, I can, Susie.
I can hear you.
Yes, I can, Susie.
Okay.
Hey, Rachel. I believe you guys have some people in the waiting room trying to get in.
Yes, just trying to let them in. Sorry.
I'm host, so that's why I'll be doing that.
Okay, you're doing that for me. Thank you very much. Okay, brilliant. Got everybody in. Sorry about that slight delay. Bit of a technical issue at my end. Sorry, I have to admit it. So bear with me. Have we got everybody on now? Are we okay?
Yeah, I don't see anyone else, but thank you, Dodie.
Okay. So I'm going to do a short introduction and just explain why I've gathered you all here because of this phenomenal thing. If I could just go back a little bit, quite a long time ago when I was a child, my mum died and my father got very sick, and we'd always been in traditional medicine for everything. And he actually went to alternative. He went to a homeopathic, and they healed him within a couple of weeks, and he was terribly ill. He had boils all over him and so on. And from that moment on, we changed the way we ate or diet, what we had to eat. We had fresh vegetables, fruit, and it was in those days where you could get raw milk from farms and all those things. So I grew up with this knowledge that the body could heal itself with the right environment. But sadly, these days, we don't have the right environment. I still believe that the body, I mean, there is scientific proof that the body can heal itself. And we're constantly inundated with processed food, sugars, contaminants in the air. We've also got water to think about, which is, it's not clean anymore. Sadly, they add a lot of chemicals to it. So it's a bit of a challenge at the moment to try and keep fit and healthy. And I've constantly looked for natural alternatives that will heal the body and support the body. And I was very lucky to meet Rachel about 5 years ago, at the beginning of lockdown. We were on a breathwork course together, and she's been in mainstream medicine for a long time, so has a huge amount of knowledge. But she's gone one step further because she's also looked at how the body functions, gone much deeper into the alternative, how the body works. Because often, whilst I think medicine is not necessarily there to heal us, it's more of a business proposition. I think the people who work within medicine truly have a good heart and really want to heal people. And it's interesting to see how now a lot of doctors I know are stepping out of that and looking at how the body works and the alternatives and what else can heal. And this is how I came across this. Rachel actually contacted me and said she had come across this amazing thing, which was completely natural. It supported the body and helped the body do what it was designed to do. And we are designed to self-heal. That's how we're made. So I tried it a little bit skeptically, but she told me, a bit of a skeptic, but she told me a few stories. So I tried it for a while, and I had arthritis in my hands, my fingers, they were all looking very witchy and gnarled and very painful. That went within a couple of weeks of actually putting the patch on, which we'll tell you a little bit about in a minute. And also I noticed my sleep was better, my skin was better, and a huge bonus for me is my hair grows really quickly. I noticed that the grey hasn't gone completely, but it's a lot more patchy, so I'm getting more darker hair than I'm getting white hair, which is quite a relief because it saves quite a lot of money as well. So all these things made me think there was something really in this, and I really wanted to try it. So I tried it a bit longer. I introduced a few friends to it. Probably at the very early stages, I had a friend who, for 25 years ago, she had a terrible accident, smashed her skull and her base of her spine, and she had migraines twice a month without fail. And they've tried everything for 25 years, and she just couldn't get rid of them. She was very skeptical, but I stuck a patch on her, and literally within an hour, her migraine had gone. And she has been on them for a year now, and she doesn't get any migraines. As soon as it starts, she puts the patch on and that's it. She doesn't have any problems at all. And they're the two probably main things that made me think there's something in this that really does work. So I wanted to gather you here. I know a lot of you are very interested, wanted to understand a bit more about stem cell therapy and how our body can heal. I know there's some with some health challenges, but I really wanted to share this because from the bottom of my heart, I really feel that it can heal you, heal all of us. And it's so powerful, yet So it's not complex, it's simple. And the beautiful thing about it is it's not having to change your lifestyle, changing your diet. It really is just you wearing this patch every day and it does the work, or your body, the body does the work for you and sorts it out. So I want to hand over to Rachel because she is without doubt the expert. And she'll give you a bit of background about how she got into it and what her thoughts are, and then a presentation on how it actually works.
All right. Thank you, Susie. Thanks for that lovely intro. And for those of you who don't know me, my name is Rachel Maurice, and I worked as an anesthesiologist in Canada for close to 20 years. And I walked away in 2021 and for medical freedom of choice for myself and my family, and did not think that I would be gone for very long. But in that time, clearly, since I was not working, I had a little more time on my hands to do some research on things that were confusing to me. And in all of that digging, I ended up uncovering something I did not expect to, but a lot of information, research, scientific evidence that was there, just not, you had to dig for it. And it had to do with how the body actually works. And what I mean by that is upstream from all the biochemistry that we focus on in modern medicine and the physical nature of the body, which understandably that was my experience in the operating room, is that light drives all of our physiology. So light is the upstream signal for every single process that takes place in the body. Now, that was a bit disturbing to me. I was a bit distraught because it was not anything that I had learned in my medical school training. But it soon became very exciting because what I started learning was there were very simple things, very simple lifestyle shifts that one could take to make a huge difference. It's like a lever on a door swinging a big door. It could make really big impact. And in that, I started coming across a bunch of tools, not very expensive tools, which again does not profit a business like how the modern medicine is run. But through that, I ended up coming across phototherapy. Phototherapy is an incredible tool, and then these patches came across my purview. And it was very timely because of the amount of time that I had spent researching all of this phototherapy. I dove right in. It was a no-brainer. Within 5 minutes, it all made sense to me. I know that's not everybody's background, but that was mine. And in that, it was also very timely because my mom's health was declining significantly to the point where her doctors were talking about heart surgery. And having spent 25 years in the operating room, I knew that anyone very close to me, anyone that I knew, I would highly recommend avoiding surgery at all costs. If possible, it's just the nature of intervening. There are potential for complications, and I've seen everything. So as it so happens, I was divinely guided to Diane Hunt, who enrolled me, and she happened to be a cardiac surgical nurse for 20 years. And that in and of itself, she was sharing stories with me. I knew she had the same background, the same experiences, the same understanding and environment that I had been in. So that lent to some credibility, obviously. As well, she showed me evidence, tangible evidence, objective evidence like echocardiograms and ECGs, which showed me people who had been in heart failure after using these patches for 8, 10, 12 months were no longer in heart failure. Now, that is not something I had ever seen in my career without an artificial pump being inserted into a heart, and nor had that been her experience in the 20 years she had been in the cardiac surgical suite as well as the electrophysiology suite. So to say that these were miraculous is an understatement. So it was absolutely something we were jumping in. I told my mom, we're gonna do this. It is very affordable. And the only issue was that it takes time. And we are not conditioned in our society. We are a drive-through society. We want things instantly. We want the easy button. And that is really the issue at hand. And so I prepared my mom to have patience, which her middle name is Impatience, but I prepared her to have patience. And to my surprise, within 2 weeks, because we walk regularly, she went from having to stop every 2 to 3 steps to catch her breath to being able to walk with me for 20 to 30 minutes without stopping, while talking to me and walking on an incline. So that went against everything of how I understood the body to work from my previous training, it now makes sense from this whole light and energy standpoint. But still, it's not something we are used to seeing. And then within 3 weeks, she had to have her thyroid medication lowered by her doctor. Again, she had been on these thyroid medications for over 3 decades, not thinking that she was ever going to get rid of them. So she as well has more energy than she's had before. She was sleeping better. Her friends who are in the same age range, she's 84, were noticing a major improvement, and that she was just glowing and gave off this incredible energy. So we started, and I started sharing with so many people around me, because I couldn't stop talking about the story with my mom. And everyone around just is struggling with so many things, not necessarily having any resolution with, never mind allopathic medicine, but even functional, integrative, holistic. A lot of those things require work, dedication, time, effort, and patience. And I just started sharing these patches with people because I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and there is no downside whatsoever. And I started seeing miracles all around me, and it just continues to happen on a daily basis. Now, I think we have 1 or 2 people on here, Susie, that you had asked to share their testimony. So I think maybe if we just share those quickly before we get on with the presentation. So
Okay, yes, and Andrea, I'm not sure whether she's available.
Andrea, are you on?
Andrea, sorry, not Andrea.
Hello, I'm driving. Yes, I can share.
Thank you. Thanks.
So I started these patches 11 months ago. I have a podcast, and Dr. Rachel came on there and was telling me about her mom's story, the same story that she was just sharing with you. And right away, I thought of my own mom, because she has polymyalgia. And she had been diagnosed with it probably 4 months before I bought the patches. And she was on 3 pills of prednisone, and she could hardly walk because of the pain in her legs. And it was obviously heartbreaking to see her like that, because she has a store and she wasn't able to do her everyday things, and that's her livelihood. And so I put these patches on her, and at the 6-month mark, my mom no longer had pain in her legs, and she was off of her medication. At the beginning, I actually was, I was like, oh, I don't really need to wear these patches because I'm not like sick, right? I just didn't feel like I needed them. And then Rachel was like, oh, no, you want them, you need them. And so I didn't think I had any inflammation, but little did I know I did. So I actually stopped drinking coffee on the first day I started the patches, and I didn't have any caffeine withdrawal. And shortly after that, my brain fog lifted, and I didn't even know I had brain fog. And probably about the 4 months in, I had a huge motivation to work out again. In my 40s, I have not been able to work out, and I am no stranger to working out. I used to train for competitions, but in my 40s, I lost motivation to move my body, and I was starting to move my body every day again with ease, and I wanted to do it. And then the biggest thing for me, well, the 2 biggest things have been, I no longer have period cramps. I had debilitating period cramps. I would have to take 4 Advil every 4 to 6 hours for 3 days straight just to function and not, be able to go to work and all the things. And I know a lot of women can relate to that. And also my eyesight. I've had 2 pairs of eyeglasses corrected. Now I've worn glasses since the 4th grade, and historically all my years, and like I said, I'm 46 now, my eyesight has gotten worse, and my eyesight now when I go to the eye doctor is actually reversing. And so I'm going through glasses a little faster, but that's okay. Soon I won't need them. And I'm very grateful. Thank you guys for allowing me to share, and I'll turn it back over to Susie and Rachel.
Thank you very much. That's brilliant. Thank you. Rachel, do you want to start the presentation?
Sure.
All
right.
Just before we start, can I ask you just to take me off screen just for a few minutes? Can you do that from your end?
What do you mean?
To
your video off. You have
Yeah.
to do.
Okay. Thank you. I thought because you were hosting, I'll do it. Okay, thank you. Sorry to interrupt. Carry on, that's fine.
All right, so I am going to share my screen. And I hope I just get the right screen to share. Technology is not my forte.
I think you're doing a lot better than me today.
Sorry, everyone's like seeing this now. Yeah, here we go. All right, can everyone see my screen, or can I get somebody to do a thumbs up so I can? Susie, can you do a thumbs up if you can see the screen?
I can just see it going around. I can see you, but I can't see anything else. It's going round and round.
It says double click to enter full screen mode.
It says screen sharing is paused. Share. There we go. Now oh, that's
I'm
bizarre.
still seeing this message. Rachel has started screen sharing. Double click to enter screen mode.
Okay, I'm gonna stop sharing.
That usually fixes it.
Let me try again here. Of course, we're gonna have more tech issues. It says, I don't know why it says your screen sharing is paused.
Hey, Rachel,
Yes.
hang on your touchpad for a minute. Are you on a laptop or do you have a mouse?
I have like the touchpad.
Double click, try tap twice on the touchpad and see if that works. If that doesn't work, stop share. And then share screen before you try to hit the PowerPoint. Is it at the PowerPoint?
It's in Canva.
It's in Canva. Okay, so don't play it yet. In other words, share your browser first and then click play on it. That way it'll come up. For some reason, it's not going into full screen mode for you.
Okay. Okay, so I'll share my desktop and then.
There you go.
Yeah, brilliant. Thank you.
Except now my browser is
busy.
There we go.
There you go.
Now, can you see? Can people see now? Yes.
Yes, perfect.
Yes, you're there.
Thank you, Dodie.
My pleasure.
Learn something new every day. All right, sorry about that. Thank you for everyone's patience. And yes, I know time is our most precious commodity, so I really value you being here and allowing that yeah, tech headache. So okay, all right, so we are talking about these patches. And what we are talking about is not that these patches are doing anything for us, to us. They are enhancing and they are activating our own innate ability to heal. So it's not the patches doing anything. It is the patches enhancing our own God-given, incredible healing mechanisms within through the use of this patch. So to start, I just want to say that, yes, I am a medical doctor, but I am no longer practicing as a medical doctor. I'm not your medical doctor. And so these products are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, prevent any diseases or medical conditions. So what I'm speaking on is purely for educational and information purposes only. So why would we even want to talk about these patches? What is the benefit? I'm just going to ask everyone to mute while they're on here. I can't look at everybody, so thank you. As we age, we start to lose energy. We start to maybe feel like we can't do the same activities that we used to. We can't have the same connection and communication and community with our loved ones. And really, we want quality of life. That was the biggest thing that I saw in the hospitals when I was there, because that's where I spent the majority of my career and my time awake was in the hospital setting and watching people's quality of life decline. And it was really it was heartbreaking, and it gave me motivation to make sure that I had the best quality, and I prioritized that in my life. And so that's really what we want while we have the years on the planet. But as we age, and because of the environment that we are surrounded by, things start to break down. Our brains are not working as well, and that also hinders us from maybe wanting to interact with people that we otherwise would. Our body isn't keeping up with maybe what's going on in our mind, thinking that we think we are younger, but the body just is not keeping up. So imagine if we could turn that around. Imagine if we could have more energy, and it's not even just about feeling like having more energy, but what does that energy allow us to do on the planet, right? That will give us our ability to play with our kids again, our grandkids, maybe go and do sports, go skiing or go swimming or go for a walk, which if we didn't have the energy before, we wouldn't be able to do. It gives us the ability to, or what if we could have our mind back, the ability to have hold a conversation without worrying about not being able to remember what we were going to say, or even what was said 5 minutes ago. And that can, again, it just enhances our relationship and enhances our quality of life while we are on the planet. What if we can move freely again? When you're younger, think back to what you were able to do when you were younger, the sports that you enjoyed, or any kind of activity, whether it, again, be walking or something more strenuous. Imagine being able to go back and do that again, and do that with your family, with your children, with your grandchildren. Imagine living life with reduced stress. Now, that is really a big one nowadays. It's just really escalated, I would say, in the last 5 years, and even more so recently. And that stress is really it's downplayed and underrated in modern medicine, and by people thinking and saying, well, that's just in your head. Everything is connected, and the emotions, the feelings that we have, they literally do affect our physical body. So reducing the stress allows everything to function better, and allows us to have a more enjoyable time and quality of time. So what's the problem? Now, this is not something that I was taught in my medical school education. I was taught about stem cells, when you have the sperm and the egg coming together and you need to grow a baby, and that is about dividing cells. They have to have all the instructions to become every single cell in the body in order to grow a baby. And once you go through puberty, then you don't need to grow anymore. But that's actually not the case. And while we don't see growth on the outside, what happens on the inside is those cells are continually having wear and tear because they're being used every day. And so you have breakdown, and you, just like a car, you take it to a mechanic, you have to have repairs. Sometimes you have to replace the parts. Well, the same thing happens with our cells. You have to repair them, you have to replace them. So how does that happen? That happens through stem cells. So that a stem cell is a cell that it has the instructions and can become any cell in the body. Now, as we age, by the time we're 30, half of our stem cells have gone dormant. So again, think about where you are now and what you used to be able to do, or what you were like when you were 30. We get used to each year just a slow decline, but if you look at it that way, it actually brings it more to the forefront. By the time we are 60, 90% of our stem cells have gone dormant. So now that, I didn't understand that until I came across this information through this technology, and thinking back to everyone that I'd seen in the hospital setting, it now made sense why people did not recover as quickly as they aged. It made sense why they weren't recovering from illness, not just for example, traumas and such. The fewer stem cells you have, the faster you age and the slower you heal. So now we are talking about these patches and how they can activate our own innate healing mechanisms through light, through phototherapy. Now, phototherapy is not a new thing. It's been around since the sun has been around, which is a very long time, which is how our planet has become, be able to sustain life. And we have just scientifically come to put more of a name to it and more evidence behind it in the last several decades. And that's really what it is. And so a term has come about called photobiomodulation. You don't have to know the terminology, but really it's just broken down into photo meaning light, bio meaning the body, modulation meaning change. So changing the body through light. And that's just a scientific term that you can look up in one of the repositories of scientific research called PubMed, and you will find over 6,000 studies on photobiomodulation. It is not woo-woo. It is not out there fringe. So if you go to your doctor and talk about it and they don't know about it, it is because they haven't looked into it. It is absolutely there. The evidence is there. And the term has been specifically noted for red and infrared light therapy. And so what we have seen with that and what has been shown and borne out in the research is it actually promotes tissue repair and wound healing, reduces inflammation and pain, and has become a really big thing in the athletic industry because they want to get an edge, and any slight edge that they can have on their competitors will make a difference. So it's huge in the athletic industry. Now, how does this light actually do anything? Because I know that was something for me at the beginning when I started learning about that. It didn't make sense to me. I was so focused and had been programmed to understand the physiology. Understandably, again, I was in the operating room using all of these drugs, injecting intravenously and changing the biochemistry in the body. So how does light do it? Just so a tangible type of example that anyone can understand is we know that we have to go outside and get a certain amount of ultraviolet B light to create vitamin D. Now, it's not the sun that's creating the vitamin D. It is the sun that is sending the signal, which the frequency is carrying information, telling our body and our cells to create vitamin D. The same goes with when we get a tan. It's not the sun that is per se making the tan. The sun's rays, the wavelengths, they're carrying information to tell our body and our cells to create melanin, that pigment that we see as a tan. So that is how light, it carries information to signal our body to do things. So this is what we are using with this patch. And this patch, what it does is it signals using our own light. It reflects light that we make back into the body to signal with information for us to create a peptide called GHKCU. It's a special copper peptide. And again, the specifics don't matter, but for those interested, the G stands for glycine, the H histidine, and the K lysine. Yeah, it's not L, it's a K, it's lysine, and copper. So this copper peptide has been around for 50 years, or it's been around forever, but the research has been around for 50 years. It was discovered in 1973 by a Dr. Lauren Picard, and he discovered initially about how this helps with wound healing, increasing wound healing. And it became known as the Holy Grail of age reversal. I didn't know about this beforehand, but apparently it's been in a ton of high-end skincare lines because of that, because one of the things that is out in the public that people love is age reversing from the outside, from the skin, tightening up the skin, having age spots reverse, reducing those fine lines and wrinkles. So that has been put in skincare lines. So it is very well known. But one of the things that it does is it activates your own stem cells. Remember, we talked earlier about how your stem cells go dormant by the time you're 30, 60% have gone dormant by the time you're 60, 90% have gone dormant. And that is why our healing does not happen as well and we don't recover from illness. So now imagine this peptide activates your own stem cells. So it actually reverses aging. So how does this patch work? It is created in the middle. You can see the patch there. And for anyone that's looking, I'm wearing one on my wrist here. There's a white part in the middle. That is a crystal lattice. And it's very thin, so we can't see the crystals with our naked eye, but it is a very thin crystal lattice made up of organic amino acids, sugars, salts, and stabilized oxygen. And so in a crystal, it's an organized pattern of these, and it creates ridges. And so the inventor, who I'm going to talk about in a little bit, was genius and was able to figure out how to organize these crystals in that rigid, or with that ridged matrix, so that it can reflect specific frequencies back into the body to increase that copper peptide that I was talking about. So it uses our own light. So we make light, and that's something, again, not taught in medical school, but just for people that, if you don't quite believe it, just think back to if you wear night vision goggles, not you necessarily, but you see that in movies a lot, and you see that halo of red around people. That is heat, right? We know we give off heat. We can use that interchangeably with light, because it's just a matter of the number of frequency it is. So that is heat, light. We make light. It reflects that light back into the body. There's nothing from the patch going into the body, so it's non-transdermal. People might have heard about transdermal patches like estrogen patches or nicotine patches. Those have something in the patch that is transferred into the body. These do not. They are non-transdermal. They are non-invasive, and they reflect your own light. That is what they do. That is how they are activated to increase that copper peptide. And one of the things that does is increases and reactivates your own stem cells. So these are just some of the benefits of the X39. They reduce inflammation and pain. And so for those not aware, inflammation is fundamental to almost all chronic diseases. They are not the root cause, but they are fundamental, so they are pervasive. So imagine now being able to reduce inflammation, being able to reduce some of the symptoms that come along, and even reduce or eliminate the named chronic disease. As well, pain. So many people, at least 30% of the population is walking around with chronic back pain. We know there's a lot more chronic pain in our society. We've got pain clinics springing up everywhere. I know, because that is a subspecialty in anesthesia. There's acute pain that most of us deal with, but chronic pain is a subspecialty, and because there is so much chronic pain. So imagine being able to help with that. It improves strength, stamina, and energy levels. Who doesn't want that? Even if it is not just about someone who is not healing very well or doing very well, but even those who want to take an edge. I talked about Olympic athletes and professional sports players earlier. They are using these patches because they want an extra edge, right? And so they are also being able to increase their strength, stamina, and energy levels. Improve muscle and bone density, which is huge because those decline as we age. Improving mental clarity and reducing stress. And again, I talked about that earlier. Balancing hormones and easing anxiety. Improving hair growth and skin appearance, which again, I touched on in terms of aesthetics, but this really goes much deeper, because while we see on the outside the improvement in hair and skin, that speaks to increasing collagen. Collagen is extremely important because it's actually it's 70% of the protein in the body. It makes up 70% of the protein in the body, and it makes up most of the connective tissue and fascia, which again for me was not something that I had learned much about, except that in surgery you just want to get through the fascia to get to the organs. But all of that fascia actually makes a network in your body that supports it physically, supports the organs, supports the infrastructure, but it also is the communication superhighway of the body. Now, the body works because cells can communicate with one another. When there's no communication, there's breakdown in communication, the body breaks down. So communication is paramount. It's absolutely critical. And collagen makes up the superhighway of communication in the body. Because of the way it's structured, it actually holds these little water nanotubules, and that is how light travels in the body. So now you can see how there's a connection here. These patches using our own light reflected back into the body. Light is the communication means, and collagen is the communication superhighway. And I talked about water being how light travels. So it's really important to stay hydrated, which we're going to touch on later. but just keep that in the back of your mind. As well, it promotes cellular repair and wound healing and improves sleep quality. And while sleep quality, a lot of people, if I had a nickel for every time I've heard, I'll sleep when I'm dead in medicine from all of my colleagues, yeah, I would be extremely rich. Now, sleeping is crucial. It's something that was messed up for me for 30 years because of my work, and anyone that does shift work knows, but that is the time where 90% of our repair and regeneration takes place. So if we do not repair and regenerate the cells, then we will just break down much faster. So sleep is absolutely critical. So as far as long-term results, in the first few days, 4,000 genes begin to reset now to a younger state. This was something when I first heard about it, I thought, well, what exactly does that mean? And I had someone who is a PhD biochemist and biophysicist explain it to me in a way that I think will resonate with you as well. Now, imagine a photographer who is really good at taking pictures, and she or he, they have to get the lighting right. And so you've got lots of, those umbrella things that reflect lighting, and you've got bright spots and darker spots just to get this beautiful image of when you take the picture. Now, as we age, that would be like the genes, some of the lights getting really bright and some of them being burnt out and not reflecting in the way that is needed. And you end up with an image that's not so nice looking. Well, getting all of the lighting back to the perfect settings is like getting all of these genes reset to the younger state. The way they're expressed is just the way it's going to turn out into a beautiful expression of health. So again, 4,000 genes is a huge number of genes. We only have around 20,000 genes in our genome, and that was discovered in the early 2000s with the Human Genome Project. And to give context to this number, 4,000 plus genes, there's a chemical that most people might be familiar with called resveratrol in red wine. You can go to your health food store, buy a supplement, a bottle of it, because everyone's just gaga over resveratrol. Now, the big deal about that is it resets 2 genes. So this resets over 4,000. Again, just to give context, within 6 weeks, the brain becomes more balanced. Again, what does that mean? It means the right side of the brain and the left side of the brain are actually speaking to each other. They're communicating. And again, health is expressed because we have proper communication. Within 3 months, collagen is increased, which I talked about earlier. Within 6 months, the heart reverses in age. This includes not just the heart, but the whole cardiovascular system. So all of the blood vessels as well. And I love how David Schmidt puts it. It's not anti-aging, it's age reversal. Now, how to wear it. This is one of my favorite things. And I feel like I say that every time I talk about something, but really this is the simplest thing that I have come across in all of the tools, in all of the holistic space that I have investigated. And I've done a lot of investigating, and I do a lot of things because I am devoted to my health, and I always have been. But it's super simple. It's like a sticker. You take the backing off, you stick it on your body, you wear it for 12 hours, you take it off after 12 hours. You want to put a next one on the next day and continue that. Now, you wear it for 12 hours a day and you take it off after 12 hours, because just like the sun, we don't live under the sun 24 hours a day. It is stimulating, and so we need to give our body a break so that we then continue to respond to that stimulus again the next day. Now we can take it off. It still has a little bit of life left in it. And like I have written here, you can put it on your pets. I've always done that. I put it on my dog. She's 14. She has like a spring in her step. Nobody can believe she's 14. But again, like I said, you want to put a new one on the next day and you continue that. And now this question comes up a lot. Well, how long do I have to do it? How do I have to wear these things for life? And one of the things that I say to that is it depends what you want from your life. A lot of people who are not well go to their doctor and they get a prescription, and they don't necessarily ask their doctor, well, how long do I have to use this? Their doctor says, you're on this for life. If you're diabetic, you're on your diabetes medication for life. If you've got high blood pressure, well, you're on your high blood pressure medications for life. So I'm not necessarily saying you have to do this with these patches, but you want to give it a good trial. Even though I don't like that word, 90 days is really what you want to commit to as a minimum, because the body takes time to heal. And the research shows 97% of people see an effect by 90 days. So you really want to commit at minimum to 90 days. But the recommendation is a month for every decade that you've been alive on the planet. But again, it depends on your goals. It depends on your lifestyle. And if you are anything like me, I am all about prevention. I really didn't have too much wrong with me to begin with. Because of what I've seen in 30 years in medicine, I will do anything in my power to stay away from that system. So I'm all about prevention. This is one of my tools that I will be using for the rest of my life. And I also get from people, okay, well, why do we need to use this? I'm healthy. I don't have anything wrong with me. That's for another conversation. But our world is not the world that we should ideally be living under or evolved with. We've got, as Susie mentioned at the beginning, we're being assaulted on all fronts, from our food, our water, just everything that we bring into our household, chemicals, all of the new electromagnetic frequency spectrums that keep coming into our environment. So our body does not have the capacity to keep up with everything, even if you are at your best health. So to me, this is about prevention. You want to make sure that you drink plenty of water. As I talked about earlier with collagen, that is how light communicates from cell to cell in the body. So being hydrated is absolutely critical. You want to make sure that you add electrolytes to that water. You don't necessarily have to purchase electrolytes, but I use salt. I like a cleaner way of doing it. So salt, but it must be unrefined salt. So something like Himalayan salt, Redmond's real salt, Celtic sea salt, those still have all of the minerals attached to them. Refined salt has stripped all of those minerals away, but the minerals allow us and our bodies to hold on to water. So it's important that if you use salt, you just need a pinch in the water, but it is unrefined salt. And you want to make sure that you also make sure you've got copper in your diet. Now, we have to make sure we've got all the ingredients to make that copper peptide. One of them is copper. We used to be able to get enough copper in our diet from just eating and not having to worry about it in the early 1900s. But because of changes in agricultural practices, we do have to focus on that now. So the things, and this is not an exhaustive list, this is just to name a few. At the top of the list, we've got organ meats, everyone's favorite, right? Oysters, and yeah, I don't, just so you know, I don't like either of those two. But next would be shellfish, seafood. And for those that don't eat any of those, avocado is rich in copper, nuts and seeds, in particular cashews and sunflower seeds, but you don't want to eat an overload of those. And then probably everyone's favorite, a small square of dark chocolate. I focus on the foods before going to supplements. Having said that, my kids do take desiccated organ meat supplements, and the company that I use, there's no fillers, nothing else in it. That way I just have them covered. And now what to expect with these. This is also a very interesting one because everyone is different. Everyone comes to this earth with a different set of genetic instructions. We've been on the planet a different number of years. We have had a different environment. We've had a different upbringing, a different amount of trauma. We all experience trauma, a different environmental a different environment in terms of what we eat and what we're surrounded by, and even our thoughts and feelings and emotions. So everyone's going to be different in terms of where they break down first. And so each person's body is going to be different in terms of what it is prioritizing needs fixing first as well. So what I tell people is to write out a wish list, but not to focus on a named disease, because we've got over 36,000 of those. And I know people still do focus on that. And that is one of the problems, in my opinion, with modern medicine, because everything boils down to cellular dysfunction. We're made up of about 50 trillion cells. And it's because of cellular dysfunction that things break down. So we just have categorized them in medicine. So really it's about whether you've got issues going on in your brain, in your joints, in your muscle, in your eyes. It's just the different areas, clumps of cells, basically. So the patches go to work where needed. And so you might, like, for example, one of my mom's friends who saw her and immediately wanted to try them, he had headaches for a long time. And he started the patches. And after 2 months, I was talking to her and she went back to him and he said, well, my headaches are still there. But what he neglected to tell her was he was no longer wearing his reading glasses. And she found out from his wife. So as much as you start the patches and say, okay, I want to start them because of X, Y, and Z, your body might say, no, we need to work on something else. And it might even take 6 months or a year to actually address the issue why you started, but a whole bunch of other things are going on in the meantime. And they may be internal and they may be things that you don't necessarily feel. Now, this was brought up to me again yesterday. Someone messaged me. It happens all the time. And I'm sure lots of people on this call who are using the patches and sharing them get this as well. I'm not feeling anything. Now, I have to tell you, I have in the past used a ton of supplements. I have not felt one single thing from any supplement that I've ever used. But I know I needed certain things at the time. Now, again, examples, we have people who have been in renal failure, not feeling a thing, but they're being monitored because of the kidney failure, sorry. And after 6 months of wearing the patches, no longer being in kidney failure, but they didn't feel anything. There's so much going on in our bodies. We've got 100,000 reactions going on in every single cell, every second of the day. We're not feeling that. So lots can be going on and fixing taking place in the body that we don't feel. So it's really about having patience. And if we are tired, a lot of people notice more energy. Some people feel more tired. And really what that means is they are working. Things are happening in your body, because the analogy I like to share with people is like a cell phone. When you've got a full battery, your cell phone can do anything. You can stream, you can do multiple things at once. But when you start to drain that battery and you get to low battery mode, things start to shut down because only one or two key functions can work because there's only a certain amount of battery life. Well, same with your body. Your body needs a full amount of energy for all of those reactions to take place. But when you start to drain your body battery, only certain things can work at one time. And so your body will say, we know the healing, we need to work on this, and we need healing over here. And healing requires extra energy. So it's going to tell you to take a break, let your body rest. So you're resting all the other functions so it can go to work on the healing. So just honor that fatigue, allow yourself to rest, allow yourself to sleep, and also make sure that you are practicing proper breathing, because bringing in the oxygen into your body is how energy is made. Oxygen is used in the mitochondria where energy is made. And so getting in oxygen is really important. Most people, and I would say to make sure or attempt to breathe most of the time through your nose, that triggers your diaphragm. And that is how we are supposed to be breathing. But a lot of times, and I'm guilty of this, and this is one of the reasons, as a total aside, I tape my mouth at night when I'm sleeping, because I was a mouth breather. And we don't bring in the oxygen we should. Most of us breathe through our upper chest and our accessory muscles in our neck. So we really want to focus on that diaphragmatic breathing. So here we have an example. This is a brain scan of a 77-year-old woman who you can see on the left-hand side. This was prior to her using the X39. The red shows inflammation and the dark blue is low activity. But what we really want is more of the green and the light blue, because that shows coherence, which means, again, communication between the left and right side of the brain. The middle image is after 3 weeks of using the X39, and you can see there's no more red, so there's no more inflammation. That's only 3 weeks. That's actually pretty quick. And you can see there's a little more dark blue, which again is low activity, but there's more green and more light blue. So there's more coherence coming in. And on the right-hand side, we see This is 6 weeks after using the X39. Again, still no inflammation. There's no red. And there's only a little bit of that dark blue, but we see a lot more of that light blue and green, which means coherence. Again, communication, which is key to health. Here we have some images. We've got a lot going on the left, and I keep thinking I need to change the slide here. But the bottom left-hand side of that image is probably the one where you can see the best, where there's an improved hair growth. We actually have someone on our team who her son is 35 and he had alopecia for 10 years. They tried everything with no success. And I believe it was 6 days after using the X39, he started to have some peach fuzz. And then 2.5 months after using it, he had about a 1/2 inch of hair growth, which is astounding. But you can see on the left-hand side, there's quite a difference in the hair growth. And this one gets me every time, this curvature of the spine, the scoliosis. This was only 4 weeks, 1 month of using the X39. You can see how much it has straightened out her back. And while it says there's another patch on there, which is for another conversation, that one does not contribute to regeneration. It is just for pain. So this is the X39 that helped with straightening out her spine. On the left-hand side, we see this lady has what's called vitiligo, and that is just an areas of depigmentation. I talked about melanin before. You can see there are patchy areas where the skin is lighter. And on the right-hand side, she tried everything, nothing worked. On the right-hand side, you see that although it is a slightly different color, what's important is it's a uniform color on her back. So she doesn't have areas where there is no pigment. And so it cleared up with the X39. I don't know the timing of that one though. And on the right-hand side, we see, although it might not look like it, this is a knee. This is after a knee replacement. I've seen, I don't know how many hundreds, if not thousands of these. And this is remarkably fast wound healing. That's only 2 days using the patch. You can see from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. Now, I would be remiss if I did not talk about the inventor of these patches. And I'm not going to go too deep into it, but he is the heart and soul, and he's half the reason I actually love this company. He is a scientist, inventor, and founder, and he originally did not intend to market these to the public. He was working and creating things for the Navy SEALs for emergency survival equipment. And that is where the first patch was born. And that was over 20 years ago. And it just so happened that he no longer was needed by the government, and through his networking ended up trialing these patches on the Stanford Olympic swim team, and had, I believe it was 6 out of the 8 ladies the first day broke their own personal records. And then they were used in the 2004 Olympics, I believe it was. And that is how it came to be. But he has, and this slide is old because he now has over 200 patents. I believe by the time convention comes around in October, they were talking about him having over 250 patents. And for those who need that scientific background, yes, these patches have over 80 clinical trials. And yes, they have the randomized controlled trials, double-blind placebo. That is the quote unquote gold standard for scientific research. And as I said, the company it's over 20 years old now, and these patches are in over 80 countries. Now, the X39, the one we're talking about today, was released in late 2019. And that is what took the company from being a $20 million a year company to over $600 million in 3 years. And it is on track for over $1 billion this year. And for those who like to do your own research, which I always recommend and support, you can go to, on the bottom here, and we can put it in the chat afterwards, the website called thisisitinfo.com. Now that is a one-stop landing page. It has the patent, which is what is listed here. It's a 22-page patent in there. But really all you need to know is what is in the paragraph there. Embodiments as results of elevating copper peptide, including activation of stem cells, energy improvements, and elevation of antioxidants. But along with the patent on this website, there is the research the scientific research, as well as testimonials from A to Z, any testimonial that you can think of, again, by organ systems. And as well, lots of videos ranging from really short ones to longer ones explaining what phototherapy is, how the patches are phototherapy, videos and interviews with medical doctors and the inventor himself. So again, this is it info.com. And the results really go beyond the surface. Yes, while we're looking at things that are physical in nature, it helps with emotional, spiritual, mental, and all of that really translates into, again, our quality of life, improving our quality of life on all levels, inside and out. And there is also an opportunity with this company, which was not something I had looked at when I joined, but it really is, especially nowadays with inflation and cost of living, so many people working 2 jobs. I used to, when I needed more money, I just had to trade more hours for money and I got burnt out. And I don't know how many people I know who are trying to find a second job, a third job. This helps, even if it's just potentially getting your patches paid for so you don't feel like you're spending any extra money, or bringing in a side stream. There is an opportunity and it is incredible. So just know that that is there, and you can ask the person that invited you to the call for more information on that. As far as getting started, there are 3 ways to get started. You can enroll as a retail customer, which I don't know why anyone would do that, because all you do is end up paying more, because there are ways to pay less, which is the second one. As a preferred customer, you get wholesale pricing. And the third way, which I always recommend, is enrolling as a brand partner. You get the wholesale pricing. You also can get better pricing when you're enrolled if you buy in bulk, just like if you go to Costco. Lots of people love going to Costco, buying in bulk and getting better discount. That is possible as a brand partner. You also have the ability to share this, which I know a lot of people will say, well, I just want to try it. I'm just interested in using it. There's no obligation to share. So you can actually just go in as a brand partner and get your bulk order and not do anything. But we share what goes on in our lives every single day with at least our close friends and loved ones. If you think about it, your favorite restaurant, you tell your friends and family about your favorite restaurant. You share what's working with you. Whatever supplement you're using, you tell someone, oh, this has really worked for me. So we naturally share. We just aren't getting paid for it. So this is a way that you can share and actually get paid for it. And the different, as a brand partner, these are what I was talking about. If you wanted to buy in bulk, these are the different ways. You can start as a core. You can buy 3 months worth right off the bat for $295. You can go 6 months in for 6 months at $535. You can see there's a discount there, and that depends on how many people you're sharing with, or if you want to just buy it in bulk and not worry about ordering again. Or you can go in for the premium, which is what I did because I wanted myself, my mom, and both my kids to start right away. And that is $1,750 for the equivalent of 20 months worth. So there's a much larger discount there. And as well, for anyone interested in the business, there are some business benefits to going in at that level. And so now I'll stop the screen share and we can get to the questions. If people can raise their hand, if you don't know how, on the bottom there is the react button, and then it will say raise hand. That's just the easiest for me. Otherwise, when people just unmute all at once, it gets a little chaotic. And I've not had a chance to look at the chat at all if there is anything in there as far as questions. All right. I don't see anybody's hand up. I don't know if there's anyone that, if you're having trouble with that, if you want to just wave your hand like this. Okay, Paula has raised her hand. Paula.
Okay, so hi Rachel and everybody else.
Hi, Paula.
You've gone through a lot of information which we've had to take on very quickly, you know, or write extremely quickly, but, you know, you have to write very fast. Just wanted to know whether or not, you know, some of the information that you've given out, we would get a copy of your, you know, some of your slides or that sort of thing.
So this is being recorded.
Mm-hmm.
And I will upload it. I'm not sure how Susie is going to share it. I'm going to upload it to my YouTube channel, so it will be available for replay up there.
Oh, great. And your YouTube channel is your name, is it?
It's my name, Rachel Maurice, and then actually after the tagline is the unconventional MD.
Okay. Well, yeah. Yeah. I suppose it depends on how, you know, how much the UK people are, you know, familiar with what goes on in other countries.
Yeah, well, I'm pretty sure allopathic medicine is across the board basically the same.
Yeah. Okay. Right. Well, thank you for that, because that's it sort of eased my mind slightly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. And I know sometimes I do talk fast because I want to get through the information, but I also want to be mindful of people's time. And there is quite a bit of information. But again, that what I showed, that website, this is at info.com, right? That is, it's a wealth of information there as well, so that you can go there. And
I think you've simplified it though, you see. So you've taken all the reading out for us. Thank you.
Welcome. Thanks, Paula.
Thank you.
Rachel, thank you very much for that presentation. It was very comprehensive. It was excellent. I just thought it might be worth adding another story that, a testimonial, very brief one, that I had, which was quite phenomenal. A friend of mine who was diagnosed 30 years ago with MS and deteriorated quite quickly to the point where she was just sitting in a chair after 30 years, sitting in a chair all day and was hardly able to move. She could manage to get up and get dressed. She also had neuropathy, so she couldn't feel heat and was constantly burning her skin. And she was she was on top end painkillers, and they said morphine would be the next. She'd had when she damaged her back when she was younger in horse riding, and it was really, really sort of 10 out of 10 pain that she was suffering with. She also had high blood pressure, and she started using the patches, and after 3 weeks, she went 50% down to her pain and 50% down to her blood pressure. It was sort of settled down. And I won't go into all the details, but 6 months later, she has not only got rid of her pain completely, off the blood pressure tablets, but she's actually got rid of the neuropathy in her hands, and she's swimming 3 times a week. She's not sitting in a chair every day. She's living a normal life and swimming 3 times a week. She never thought she would ever get back to that. When she was sitting in a chair with the pain, she thought that was kind of her end days. So her change is absolutely phenomenal. And that's the most significant change I've seen. And a major change in 6 months. She's been using them for a year now. But I just thought I'd share that because, you know, it's one of those things that you'd think that was the rest of your life. But to see that change happen has really been quite phenomenal. Also, I will put a recording up and let you have, I'll let you know and have links. But if anybody does have anything they want to follow up on or any questions, please don't hesitate to contact me directly. It's absolutely fine because there's so much information to take in that it's you kind of have to go away and digest it all. But has anybody else got any more questions?
Yeah, and just on the heels of that, Susie, for people who are on here to get back to the person who invited them to the Zoom for any further.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else at all? No questions. I'm amazed. I had hundreds when I first heard about it. Just from what you've heard so far, how do people feel? Do you feel that this is something that you're really interested in? It's something that you can see the benefits of? Paula again? Yes, that would be a yes. There's somebody asking a question. Anyone
no.
else? No?
A lot of questions in the chat, but oh, thanks, Portia. Thank you for coming. Yeah, I mean, I could sit here probably for an hour and talk about a ton of testimonials that I mean, I wake up to texts every day. I just even yesterday, I posted this in my stories, but a high school friend that I hadn't spoken to since high school, quite a few of them have reached out, and he finally got on board, and he's had incredible changes. But just yesterday he said, oh, you know, I cut my hand and this huge flap of skin, and I've got the pictures. I don't have them. I'm not techie enough right now to get them on here to show you, but he had this huge gaping kind of flap of skin. And he said, well, I just thought I'd put the patch on it. And he said in 3 hours, like the visual is remarkable. Like the healing that took place in 3 hours. He's like, I feel like Wolverine, you know, the healing that just, he said, this is unbelievable. So imagine what I say to people is what we see on the outside is a reflection of what's going on the inside. So what the healing and stuff that we see that's going on the outside, imagine now that taking place on the inside. And that's where we can't see. It's like that iceberg. It's all underneath the water.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So any thoughts? Anyone want to share any thoughts if there are no questions, or yeah.
A quick random thing to ask you. Do you have to keep changing the site of the patch each day?
That's a great question.
Okay.
So lots of people like to. You don't, David Schmidt, who is the inventor, he puts them on the same spots every single day. And that's where he did the research, which I didn't address that in my presentation. There's so much that sometimes I forget little bits here and there, but where the research was done was below C7, so on the back of the neck where we saw in that image, and that, or below the belly button. They're just two really concentration of energy centers. But again, he puts them there every single day, and lots, you can put it anywhere you want because it is systemic.
I've also found as well, if I tend to wear it to the back of my neck or just below tummy button, but if I've got, say, an aching shoulder, if I've been working and my shoulder's bothering me, I'll put the patch on the shoulder where the pain is, and it's really quite effective the way it relieves it fairly quickly as well. So that often helps a lot if you've got other things going on, just put it in that place. I think I mentioned earlier on at the very beginning, my friend who's got had migraine quite severely, she will get other pains in her body on the right hand side, and she puts a second patch on that pain, and she's found that that's been very effective as well. So sometimes it's quite useful to actually put it on the place where you've got the most pain or discomfort.
That would go against, though, what Rachel was saying
What
about being transdermal.
Well, no, nothing's entering the body, but it's reflecting light. So sometimes people feel if you put it in the area, then you're getting a concentration of the energy right there.
In that spot. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I'm with you.
Okay.
No more questions. I thought there'd be floods of questions. Okay.
Well, the presentation answered everything.
Yeah, very comprehensive. Well, as I said before, if anybody who I've invited wants to have any more information, don't hesitate to get in touch. I'll probably give you a call anyway. And Rachel's, people you invited will equally contact you directly. Anything else, Rachel, to finish with, do you think?
I guess, no, I'm staying away from that term, I guess. What I would add is, for me, in 30 years that I've been in medicine, I have never seen anything like this before. And the fact that there's no risk, there's no downside, there's absolutely no downside to trying this. I mean, so many people do so many investigations, or even not, when you go into the store and you eat, whatever processed foods, or look at, don't necessarily look at the ingredients of those things. This literally is the simplest and most natural tool that I have come across to support the body. There are so many things out there that some can move the needle, but they require a ton of effort, time out of your day, consistency, and more money. This is incredibly affordable. It's like your own stem cell therapy, but affordable without the risk, complications, and cost.
Yeah, and there's an awful lot at the moment about stem cell replacement, and the value of it, and that's something that the body it does naturally, clearly, but we just need to give it the right conditions. But when you're looking at having stem cell therapy, there's a chance that it's rejected by the body anyway. But as Rachel said, it's phenomenally expensive at the top end. If you have use your own stem cells and put them back in, there's a chance that they won't work again. So it can be very, very costly, into the thousands plus. So this is extraordinary because it's your own body that's healing. You're not adding anything in. You're not putting any toxins in. You're not taking something in there that is going to cause any other harm. It's actually just your body healing itself just as it should. And the cost is, I mean, it's less than a cup of coffee a day. So I found, from my point of view, it was just a no-brainer, because to have that, to have the body rebuild and be healthy, you can't really put a price on it. But actually, for the cost of a cup of coffee, I think it's incredible that we can have that technology in our hands. But it's probably incredibly cost effective.
And did you say that David Schmidt's been doing this he's developed this now for 20 years?
It's over 20 years. The company, yeah. And originally it was for his government contract for the Navy SEALs, right?
Mm. So, and that's the X39 or Lifewave?
No, Lifewave. The X39 only came out in late 2019.
Okay, yeah. Because I was going to say, because in mainstream, stem cells very, very new, isn't it? I don't even think it came. It was over here in 19.
Sorry, do you mean it like injection stem cell therapy? Is that what you mean?
Yeah, like Susie was saying, you take your own stem cells and then they petri dish them or whatever they do to them, and then pop them back in. And as Susie said, there's a very big chance that they're not going to work.
Oh, it's only 30% effective. That's why they tell you that you have to do 3 times, three rounds of it. So they're, depending on which country you go to, they're anywhere from 5 to 25,000 a round. Mm. And they're only local. They don't act systemically. So if you inject it into the knee, it's only going to work in the knee if it works.
Yeah. And yeah. So I had a friend who was a very early person in the NHS to have stem cell therapy. A close friend. It's not with us now.
Oh,
so that's how I kind of, I've got those time scales in my head, knowing, that it's so, it's new sort of thing. Yeah.
The beauty of this, though, it's our own body. It's our own stem cells.
Yeah. Well, that's exactly it. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Like you said, there's no sort of taking out and popping back in.
Yeah. The body's innately intelligent, and it works out exactly what it needs. So the stem cell, that's why it varies in every person, but that is exactly how the body's been designed to function. So it's safer, and it's more balanced, and it will resolve the problems as they need to be resolved.
I liked the way that you explained that, actually, Rachel. That obviously if you write your wish list, it's you don't, bit like Santa, isn't it? You don't get everything on that wish list, but you might get some of them.
Well, if you wear the patch with enough time, give it enough. Because that's what I've found with people since I've been with the company, people who have been wearing it for longer, they just say the longer they wear it, the more miracles happen in their life.
The more they see. So any more questions, or should we round it up there?
Yeah.
Rachel, anything else you'd like to say, or are you happy?
I think I'm good. Yeah. Thank you everyone for joining us and taking the time out of your Sunday.
Yeah.
Sundays.
Really appreciate it. Thank you very much, Rachel, for your time as well and doing the presentation. And yes, definitely thank you for everybody coming and listening, and really appreciate you being here. Thanks very much.
Sorry, in the chat, Christina asked how to order. So if you, I'm not sure how you came to this Zoom, but you can get back to the person that invited you, or I don't know if you want to share. Someone invited you, yeah, just get back to the person who invited you. And they can do it right away.
That's brilliant. Thank you very much. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for coming. Really appreciate it.
Have a wonderful rest of your, well, Sunday in the UK, I guess it's evening.
Yes, Sunday evening, not almost bedtime. That's lovely. Thank you very much.
All right.
Thank you.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye-bye.